Men's tennis is no longer merely evolving. It is undergoing a full-scale generational realignment, the kind that comes along only once every couple of decades. With Roger Federer retired, Rafael Nadal fighting a body that whispers, enough, and Novak Djokovic picking his spots as a 38-year-old legend on borrowed time, the once unbreakable axis of dominance has fractured. Into that vacuum step two young men who have already proven they are more than a marketing hope. Jannik and Carlos Alcaraz. Their resumes belie their age. Sinner, 23, owns 4 majors after lifting his first Wimbledon trophy last week, while Alcaraz, still just 22, has 5, including back-to-back French Open crowns and a pair of Wimbledon titles. They are not simply carrying the torch, they are redrawing the entire map, forcing the tour to match their elastic athleticism and fearless shot-making. Hovering beneath this dazzling new skyline is the so-called lost generation, a cohort once forecast to seize the throne, yet now watching it being remodeled in front of them. Alexander Zverev, Stefanos Tsitsipas, Daniil Medvedev, Andrei Rublev, and Taylor Fritz have all spent seasons ranked inside the top 5, collected Masters 1,000 trophies, and, Medvedev aside, repeatedly flirted with major glory without sealing it. Their shared resume is sprinkled with near misses. Tsitsipas's 2 heartbreaking Roland Garros final defeats, Medvedev's runner-up finishes in Melbourne and New York, Rublev's 10-0 record in Slam quarterfinals, all losses, Fritz's chronic ceiling in Week 2. They have carved admirable careers, yet their narrative has drifted from future rulers to bridges between eras, the dependable mid-chapter rather than the new opening line. If any among them still hints at a late career rewrite, it is Alexander Zverev. The German's raw data remain elite. World number 1. 3. A 35-14 win-loss tally in 2025, and historical edges over both Sinner, 4-3, and Alcaraz, 6-5. Yet numbers often mask nuance. His first-round exit to Arthur Rinderknecht at Wimbledon felt seismic precisely because Zverev followed it by baring his soul. "I feel very alone out there," he confessed, acknowledging a spiral of mental fatigue that stretched back to January's 5-set Australian Open final loss. That candor drew sympathy, but also concern that his toughest opponent might now be invisible. Zverev's response was swift and dramatic. He flew to Mallorca and began training under Tony Nadal at the Rafa Nadal Academy. The move stunned insiders. Tony, architect of Rafael's gladiatorial mindset, rarely aligns himself with established top 5 players. Early camp footage shows long, no-nonsense rallies and prolonged fitness blocks, classic Uncle Tony fare. Spanish press reports suggest the partnership could become formal after the Canadian swing, an arrangement that would represent Zverev's first non-family head coach since David Ferrer's brief stint in 2020. Tony's methods are simple but merciless. Shrink the ego, sharpen the habits, drill discipline like muscle memory. For Zverev, whose career has sometimes felt like an expensive sports car with a temperamental steering column, the promise is clear. Control the controllables, the rest will follow. Whether he can surrender old patterns is the million-dollar unknown. Meanwhile, Daniil Medvedev confronts his own crossroads. The 2021 U.S. Open champion has reached 6 major finals, but none since being shellacked by Jannik in Melbourne this January. 3 first-round slam exits have followed, punctuated by a shattered net camera and a frank admission that he'd swap any ranking for another slam. His brand of rope-a-dope counterpunching remains maddeningly effective, except when it isn't, and lately it often isn't. Stefanos Tsitsipas has quietly slipped to number 9, still searching for a first hardcourt Masters title and grappling with a lingering elbow that robs him of serve pop. Andrei Rublev, the sport's resident artillery factory, continues to pile up ATP 500s but freezes in slam quarters. Taylor Fritz cracked the top 5 yet remains winless against Sinner and Alcaraz in 2025, the gulf in speed and improvisation glaring under the bright lights. While the elder millennials tread water, Jannik, as some fans now dub the Alcaraz-Sinner axis, are pushing the sport forward. Sinner's newly honed slice and improved first-serve speed, drilled during his mid-season WADA suspension, have made him lethal on grass. Alcaraz counters with preternatural transition instincts, returning serve from just inside the back fence 1 point, then charging the net behind a drop shot the next. The duo's last 5 meetings have averaged a sizzling 3 hours 45 minutes, each a masterclass in tactical adaptation. Their rivalry already holds shades of Borg-McEnroe for stylistic contrast, Djokovic-Nadal for athletic attrition, but delivered in TikTok-friendly highlight bursts. Tour marketing teams are thrilled. Television directors even more so. All eyes now shift to the National Bank Open in Toronto, the season's first hardcourt Masters, and the unofficial dress rehearsal for New York. For Zverev, it's a chance to prove the Tony Nadal experiment is substance, not optics. For Medvedev, it's respite on his favorite surface. For Tsitsipas and Fritz, it's a shot at relevance. And for Sinner and Alcaraz, it's simply business as usual, another stage to deepen their gravitational pull. Should Zverev marry his ballistic backhand and first serve percentages, currently a tour-leading 86% hold rate on hard courts, with Tony's mental scaffolding, the men's game gains an immediate third pillar to this new era. The Italian-Spanish duopoly would face not a middle-aged Djokovic encore, but a peer hungry to rewrite his own legacy. That possibility alone injects delicious tension into the post-Big Three landscape. Yet greatness demands more than sporadic brilliance. It requires the week-in, week-out relentlessness that defined Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic for 2 decades. Tony's central coaching thesis, accept suffering, embrace repetition, is designed for precisely that. Whether Zverev yields control fully will decide if this storyline becomes a renaissance or a footnote. Physics and physiology gift a tennis pro roughly 15 years at the sport's elite edge. Zverev is in year 10. The clock is indifferent to coaching changes, sympathetic crowds, or glowing practice videos. Alcaraz and Sinner, by contrast, may not peak until 28, meaning their reign is still embryonic. For the older bridge guard, the window is narrowing to a skylight. Ultimately, this transitional moment asks every player born between 1995 and 1999 a hard question. Are you satisfied being the connector, or will you fight to be the conqueror? If Toronto and the US Open produce another Alcaraz-Sinner coronation, the answer may be delivered for them. If Zverev, Medvedev, or Tsitsipas disrupt the script, the new era becomes far richer, and the sport infinitely more compelling. As fans, we should hope for the latter. Rivalries thrive on unpredictability, dynasties on resistance. Sinner and Alcaraz have laid the blueprint for the post-Big Three epic. Now it's up to the erstwhile heirs to decide whether they'll add footnotes or chapters. For Alexander Zverev, the next 6 weeks will reveal if Mallorca was the dawn of redemption, or simply another interlude on a career soundtrack still searching for its defining crescendo.